This is episode 95, and today we're talking about starting businesses internationally. This is global law media. I had to bring you information around the world, and it's important to think internationally as well. We were talking about how to create a business, and we're going to focus today on creating a business in London. London is definitely one of those places that has always been a hub for business entities and starting a business and finance and things like that. They have the London Stock Exchange. They're definitely one of the global financial centers of the world. So we're talking about how individuals can actually create a business in London, and it's very important. So stay tuned. What's up, guys? Thank you for tuning in. Today we're talking about starting a business in London. First of all, let's talk about why you should create a business. Oftentimes you may be wondering, like, why should I go through this hassle of creating a business? One, it creates something separate from yourself. It limits your liability. This is critical to understand. It limits your liability. In America, they have the LLC, the Limited Liability Company. It limits your liability. So in case something bad happens and they want to sue you, they're going to sue you for what you have in your bank account, what you actually have. If you're following the proper ways and proper path of a business corporation, you're not necessarily commingling your funds. They're going to sue you for what you have in your bank account. And that's critical to understand. So the importance it's important. That's important. So the question is, why would you want to create a business in London? Well, because there's more money outside of your country than in your country, and the idea is that you can create a successful business overseas. It's important. International trade has taken place throughout. Ever since people have been able to travel. Nile Valley civilization, Uganda, Kenya. They've been trading up the Nile River. It's been going on since the dawn of humanity. The cradle of civilization has been going on. International trade has taken a big part of it. London is definitely one of the financial centers of the world. You have the city of London. There's just lots of money that's moving in and out of London every single day. We talking about literally. We talking about. I have to check the facts, but I'm pretty sure it's probably billions, if not trillions, every day going in and out of London. It's huge. And they also have a stable currency. They have the British pound. It's very stable. It has been stable for a very long time. So you don't have to worry about the market fluctuations. And if someone says pay me in pounds, you can be safe to say that a year from now the pound will still have a pretty good value. You're not going to lose its value. So things like, you can see things like in El Salvador, they don't even have a local currency. The currency of El Salvador is US dollar, and that's what also they're using. That's why El Salvador made Bitcoin legal tender. I'm gonna do a video on that maybe soon, but US dollar is the legal currency for a lot of countries, and so the British pound is a stable currency. So that's one reason. Also, the rule of law is enforced. That's very important. You're doing business in a country. You want to make certain that if you sue someone, that you can actually collect on this money, that it actually be enforced in court, or that you're able to sue, or that it's not necessarily violence everywhere. The rule of law is enforced in the country. You tend to take that for granted, but there are places in the world that are not like that. And so they are those places. They can come do business in London. So what else? It's a common law legal system. That's very important. I know America is based on a common law legal system. The idea is that it's precedent based. The judges will look at prior judge rulings, and then from there they'll be able to make their advancements. And this legal system is very similar to ours. What else? And then you can also expand your business to London. You learn. It's a large global city. It's very diverse city as well. So they have people from all over the world coming to do business in London, and you can be one of those people as well. And another thing is that there are 54 countries a part of the Commonwealth. Many of these countries were former British colonies, and they decided to continue that type of arrangement. It's a very, loose arrangement. But with Brexit taking place, the UK is going to try to hopefully strengthen that relation and strengthen the trade relations, because they're no longer a part of the EU technically. So they are going to strengthen relations with those countries that were former British colonies, and countries in Africa, India, Australia, Canada, places like that. They're going to strengthen those ties to make certain that, and it may help as far as like increasing opportunities for business in London. So these are some of the reasons you would want to start a business in London. Let's talk about some of the types of businesses in London. Well, they have a couple. They have the public limited company, which is similar to the C corporation in America. These are some of the largest companies in America, and these are, like, for example, the C corporation. If you look at the stock market, most companies on the stock market are C corporations. They have real estate trusts, but the vast majority are C corporations, and that's the equivalent of a public limited company. They also have the private company limited by guarantee. That's similar to the 501c charity, nonprofit in the U.S., or that's similar to an NGO, non-governmental organization you see around the world. And then you have the private company limited by shares. That's similar to the LLC in America. It's a very flexible entity. It's the most popular entity in the UK, just like the LLC is the most popular entity in the US. So a lot of this stuff is very similar. It's very similar. They just call it different names. You also have the UK Societas. That was formerly the Societas Europa. If you recently saw my fashion law video, I did a video talking about how LVMH just bought a controlling interest in Off-White. LVMH is organized as Societas Europa. So companies that was a Societas Europa, because they were part of they were part of the EU, and that's a corporate law entity under the EU. The UK is no longer part of the EU due to Brexit, so those companies automatically got changed to UK societies, and they're not allowing those companies to occur in the UK going forward. So they have that, and they also have where you can be overseas company and have a branch in the UK as well. You just fill out a form. You fill out the form OS I-9. You fill out the form OS IN01. Fill out that form, and you can be an overseas company with a branch, like a legal structure you can potentially have, a type of legal formality you can have in the UK. So they have that. So let's talk about. We're going to focus on the most popular entity in the UK. As I mentioned, it's the private company limited by shares in London. How do you go about filling it out? How do you go about creating that business in London? One way you can do it. One, you have to choose a name. You got to choose a name. At the end of your name, you have to put the LTD or the limited with it. So like in America, when you create the name of your company, you have to put LLC at the end of it, or limited liability company at the end of it. It's very similar to that. Then choose a director. List who your shareholders are. Create you a memorandum of association, an article of association. That's similar to the article of organization, or similar to the operating agreement in the U.S. and things such as that. You have to have an address. You don't have an address, you can get you a virtual address. There's companies that give you a virtual address. You can have that for maybe like $30 a month, or maybe 20, 30 pounds a month or something like that. And you have a business bank account. Very similar things. These things will create an actual personhood that's separate from you. And in the UK, they have a lot of free business banking checking. They have that. So ideally, it won't be as expensive. So you have things such as that. So the idea is that if you're thinking about growing globally, the UK is definitely one of the places to be. You have to file the paperwork with the government and things such as that. I gave you many reasons earlier. It's definitely a stable place to grow. It's definitely still one of the global financial centers of the world. They have the London Stock Exchange. They have definitely one of the oldest central banks in the world. It's definitely been stable. And no one really is attacking the UK in a very long time, since World War II. But that's pretty much all I have. Today we talked about just creating. I want individuals to start thinking. Let me start thinking. There's more money outside of my country than in my country. There are more people outside of my country than in my country. I have certain skills. Can I offer those skills to the world? The answer is yes, you can. And one way you can do it is by starting a business or expanding your business into the UK. That's another thing you can do. So something to think about. I really want individuals to start thinking. Let's just start thinking bigger. Let's think globally. Global Law Media, named it Global Law Media for a reason. Let's start thinking globally. But that's pretty much all I have. So recap what we talked about. We talked about the different legal structures in the UK, as well as how to create a company in the UK. And I hope you all have enjoyed this video. And these are the things you can do. I can't say it enough. Like for example, you like in a country that necessarily not as stable, or is an emerging market, and the money situation and maybe a lot of corruption in it, you can probably create your London corporation and then have that London company own your local subsidiary in your country. So you have the UK, which is have a stable rule of law, own that foreign subsidiary in your country. So they own the company in your country. So that way you give you 2 layers of protection. They get through that, they got to go to the UK company. And then they get to that, then they can finally get to you. So there's 2 layers to get through you, but that also give you a layer of protection. It'll help out because the UK typically want to protect UK business interests, and you'll be UK business interests, so you can get some level of protection, ideally. But that's pretty much all I have, and I hope y'all have enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks.